Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
Wonderfully efficient.
Minions have spawned.
Aha! 42! I knew it! Now! What was the question again? Bubbles on! Exceeding turret output. I do love. Stop! Damage my turrets. It's smaller than the diagram. Let me fix that. What an uncommon denominator. Order, entropy, a never-ending cycle. It's smaller than the diagram. 42.
First blood.
I concur. Not nearly enough variables. I'll be fuddling. One step closer, greater understanding. Tridiminium ovulator on? Yes, Yes, hurry. I have important work to get back to.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
As I hypothesized. It's smaller than the diagram. A never-ending cycle. Where is it? Every problem solved is another revealed. I could do that better. It's smaller than the diagram. Very interesting.
Has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Order, entropy, a never-ending cycle. Where is it? The percent removed, divided by.
An enemy has been slain.
Brain overbroad. The sweet smell of science. I knew it.
Has been slain.
Very interesting. My heavens. Did I leave the linear modulator on? Fascinating, isn't it?
Has been slain.
The sweet smell of science. What an uncommon combination.
Killing spree.
Aha! It's a reaction. Working as intended. Board. Yes, yes, hurry. I have important work to get back to.
Has been slain.
Not enough variables. Not nearly enough variables. For great science! It's smaller than the diagram. Is just the number. Wonderfully efficient.
Shut down.
Is another revealed.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Bubbles on.
Enemy killing spree. You have slain an enemy.
Eureka! Let me fix that.
Your turret has been destroyed.
One step closer to greater understanding. I'll be fuddling. Ha! wonderfully efficient. I concur. The sweet smell of science. Just than the diagram.
Your team has destroyed the turret.
Fascinating, isn't it? Every problem solved is another revealed. T2, there's just something about that number. How befuddling. science. It's smaller than the diagram.
Shut down. Your team has destroyed a turret.
Aha! 42! I knew it! Now!
Rampage.
Yes, hurry. I have important work to get back to. Something about that number. Smaller than the diagram.
Shut down.
As I hypothesized. I love a This calls for a prototype. It's smaller than the diagram. What an uncommon denominator. Let me fix that.
Enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Brain over brawn.
Slain. Team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
It's smaller than the diagram. Goggles on. I can
An enemy has been
the
slain.
sweet smell of science.
Your team has destroyed a turret. An enemy has been slain.
Wonderfully effective. diagram. Ah, the sweet smell of science. Fascinating. One step closer to greater understanding.
Killing spree. An enemy has been slain.
Come on. Order, entropy, and
Your team has destroyed a turret.
back to the drawing board.
Shut down.
Aha! It's smaller than the diagram. Very interesting. Smaller than the diagram.
Has been slain. Killing spree. Double kill.
Sweet smell of science.
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Has destroyed a turret.
Every problem solved is another.
Completely lost or becomes moot. Jake's campaign is the worst, with a chase on almost every type of vehicle you can imagine. Chris's campaign is bad because of too much concentration on shootouts. I know everybody says Leon's campaign is the best of them all, but it's still awful. Without giving away too much, in Leon's campaign you fight a person who transforms into a Tyrannosaurus Rex who transforms into a giant mosquito. That's just dumb.
Don't worry, he doesn't want you.
Number 9. Final Fantasy XIII 2. I will concede that this game does a lot of things better than Final Fantasy XIII, but that doesn't make it good. The battle system got a few incremental improvements, but it wasn't enough to shake free of using auto battle for most fights. The larger environments were nice at least, but it was all disconnected arenas you warp to instead of a cohesive world. A lot of people loved the monster collection aspect, but I personally didn't really get into it. I only had 2 or 3 that I needed, and I was able to get through every fight just fine with them. But I can see why people would like putting hats on critters. Really though, 13.2's biggest offense is the story. Time travel is already a hard enough subject to tackle, but Square Enix does it in such a pointless and convoluted manner that you really wonder what you're even doing anymore just a few hours in. Plus the ending is a complete cop-out, and that's the worst part. Final Fantasy 13-2 isn't even a complete game.
The story so far, Cabal.
Number 8. The Last Story. Talk about a disappointment. Again, I realize that the rest of the world had this already, but the States didn't get it here until this year. I'm glad we got it, but The Last Story is not a good game. The camera and the controls constantly wrestle with each other, leveling up happens way too frequently and lacks any kind of lasting impact, the characters are one-dimensional, and the storyline has a decent setup, but it isn't anything special, complete with an obvious plot twist seen coming since the first few hours. But the biggest thing holding The Last Story back is a lack of scope. The world seems interesting and worth exploring, but it all takes place in a single town that you spend most of your time in, and traveling to new areas are either brief or rather confined. It feels like much more could have been done, but I feel like it's the hardware that handicapped this game. The Last Story could have been good if it wasn't so restricted with the Wii.
All right. I'm sorry, okay?
Number 7. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. This game doesn't suck because it's nothing like a Resident Evil game. This game sucks because it isn't a good game. It's underdesigned and underproduced. Every stage is mowing through zombies effortlessly until you come across something bigger, like lickers or hunters. Then it's filling them with bullets and explosions while they seem unaffected. It had decent ideas like the 4-player co-op and the online multiplayer, but every single thing is so poorly executed you'd wonder why something wasn't left on the cutting room floor. It had so many problems on day one that the game was unplayable in a lot of instances, and the developer Slant 6 couldn't fix them with a patch. But hey, at least Capcom got their day one DLC for it. Number 6.
I'm on the case.
Death is like the wind, always by my side. To the arena.
You want to play too? That'll be fun.
Star Wars Kinect. As soon as the concept of motion control came around, every single person thought the same thing. I want to swing around a lightsaber! The Wii never fulfilled on that dream, so when a prototype Star Wars game was shown for the Kinect, our hopes were rekindled. And instead we got this, and this, and this. Sadly, the best thing to come out of Star Wars Kinect was the dancing minigame. That's mostly because it straight up copied Dance Central. Way too many developers worked on this game without a clear vision of what it should be. I'm sure kids love it, but they don't know any better, because kids are dumb. Number 5. Dragon Ball Z for Kinect. So yes, this is a carbon copy of Ultimate Tenkaichi, only using motion controls instead of button pressing. But at least Tenkaichi has substance to it. Dragon Ball Z for Kinect only has the story mode that lasts a whopping 3 hours and nothing else to come back to. This is one of the most obvious examples of a quick cash-in on a franchise, as they clearly had to do very little work to get this game made. It would be higher on the worst games list, but there's something charming to copying those iconic special techniques. Number 4. Steel Battalion Heavy Armor. This one is a massive letdown on multiple fronts. Yes, the game sucks, the motion controls don't work, and all of the cool ideas it had are ruined because of these facts. But Steel Battalion was to be the first example of how motion controls can coincide with a standard controller. But the Kinect makes the whole game unplayable to the point where it's comically frustrating. The game actively fights against you with conflicting commands, making you hold the controller that blocks your hands while doing motion controls, and then it suddenly tells you to stand up and do more signals without telling you what the signal is. And the game is crushingly difficult for everything it wants you to do. Congratulations, Capcom. You killed motion control's hope for the future. Number 3. Konami. As in the whole company. I seriously can't think of a single thing Konami did right this year. All they did was screw up. Never Dead was one of the worst games of this year alone, and when the X-Blade sequel came out, they didn't even tell anyone about its existence. The Zone of the Enders HD collection slowed down the gameplay from the originals and has frame rate problems. And look at what their year of Silent Hill became. Silent Hill Downpour isn't terrible, but it isn't very good. Silent Hill Book of Memories was delayed no less than 3 times mere days before its numerous release dates, and it would be a decent game if it wasn't called Silent Hill. But the Silent Hill HD collection is absolutely worthless, with now muddy visuals, the fog gone, new voiceovers, broken cutscenes with lips desynced, and it's all based on unfinished code. Konami did patch it on the PlayStation 3, but they simply said they can't and won't fix the 360 version. Be glad you have whatever blackmail it is you have on Hideo Kojima, Konami, because without him and Metal Gear, I don't think you would be around anymore. Number 2. Amy. Every gamer hates escort quests. This is a fact. Amy's entire game is an escort quest, not even one that works. Bugs and glitches prevent progress all the time. You can lose for doing a few menial tasks out of order, and the checkpoint system simply doesn't work, making you lose an hour of gameplay. And you have to escort the dumbest AI partner in the world. The little girl Amy gets stuck indoors, walks aggravatingly slow, and the stealth mechanics simply don't work, which causes combat, and combat is beyond clunky. Simply put, the whole game of Amy is terrible and should not be played by anyone. Not even for a joke or a few chuckles. Stay away from Amy.
Oh, Amy, it's nothing.
The number 1 worst game of 2012. The War Z. Never mind the fact that the War Z is an obvious quick cash-in on the popularity of DayZ. Never mind the fact that War Z blatantly lied about its gameplay features and got itself removed off Steam for false advertising. Never mind the fact that the War Z developer is doing extremely shady practices, bans its players, and blacklists anybody who asked for a refund. The War Z is not a good game. Aside from all the missing features, the game is actually quite boring and completely unfair. The most offensive bit about it is the free-to-play model, which is the most blatant use of pay-to-win ever. Survival integral items such as food, water, healing items, or bullets can be instantly purchased with real-world cash. And this is exactly what the developer Hammerpoint said they wouldn't do. And if you die in the game, you have to wait at least 4 hours to respawn. The only way around that is to pay real money to instantly respawn or to delete your character and start over, which makes all those items you paid real money for gone. It's bad enough that the War Z is the pinnacle of pay-to-win gaming, but it's even worse that it manipulates you into spending more. The War Z is a scam. 2012 certainly had a lot more bad games.